This was honestly the scariest night of my life.
It's 4 o'clock in the morning and there has been a windstorm just ripping through here all night. And I'm so glad my kid's not here. Hey, I'm Jane. I'm a single mom and I'm not letting that hold me back. I bought 5 acres of raw land in the Kootenay Rockies, where I'm building my own home and homestead, planting a food forest, creating art, and living life on my own terms. All of this is so one day, hopefully, my kiddo won't need to struggle the way that I did. Come along with me as I create my very own freedom recipe.
Man, do I have a story for you. Last night I was woken up at 3 a.m. by the sound of the power shutting down and the tiny home shaking. It was the biggest windstorm I have ever experienced in my whole life. I'm gonna share a clip from it in a minute, but over the last 2 months there have been 3 major windstorms, which is really strange for the Kootenays. But because of these storms, I have now become familiar with the sounds that tell me I should probably get in my car and get to higher ground. But the problem living in the mountains is there really isn't any safer ground because there are trees everywhere. And when the wind is strong enough, they're coming down. Last night in the pitch black, and I mean, I couldn't see my hand in front of my face. It was that dark out. All I could hear were cracking sounds all around me, and then the familiar boom as a 100-foot tall tree would come crashing down. I would have this moment of suspense between the cracks and the boom because while the tree was in the air, I couldn't tell where it was gonna land. Even if I tried to look out the window, all I could see was darkness. And I'll tell you one game I don't like playing is it the wind or is it a bear? I had to get out of bed and make a fire because it's the tail end of winter, and with the power out, the tiny home was gonna go down below 0 pretty fast. I stayed huddled by the wood stove to be warm, but also be beside the only real source of light. Despite clutching my bear spray, I actually managed to bring out my camera, and I've tried to recreate some of the sounds for you so that you could get a real feeling of what this night was like for me. So this is me in the thick of it.
I don't know how well you can see me right now. It's 4 o'clock in the morning and there has been a windstorm just ripping through here all night. The power's gone out, which means that there's a tree that's fallen on the line somewhere, not necessarily on my line, but it could have fallen anywhere on the line that's on my grid. I'm so tired, but I gotta keep the fire going because it's too cold to not have heat. And as I'm sitting here, the wind just rips through and then I hear another tree crack and fall. And I'm so glad my kid's not here because they're rightfully terrified of the wind because they saw a big ponderosa pine snap. And there's so many trees down here. I knew that when you clear land that you're gonna open up a big space and then that's gonna leave the trees that are on the edge of that new clearing really vulnerable. Been hearing the trees fall, but it's so dark because it's cloudy tonight, so I can't see where they've fallen. So I've just been sitting here telling myself, I am safe, I am protected, I am safe, I am protected, as I listen to the wind rip through. And then the trees just boom, and not knowing if like the boom is gonna be on me. I just really hope everything is okay. And in the morning when I walk around, it's gonna be totally fine. Oh God. I don't know if you can hear that. I think it just makes me feel less afraid just being able to talk this out and having you guys here. It might sound kind of silly, but it feels better than being by myself.
I can honestly say that other than the time a cougar was circling our tent one night, and that's a story for another day, this was honestly the scariest night of my life. When the sun came up, I was so happy to be alive and that the tiny home was still standing. But my nerves were so shot, and to be honest, they still kind of are. All those times when I said that you're supposed to keep a tree 50 yards from your house really paid off, because when I went outside to survey the damage, at least all of my structures were still standing. But so many of the big trees that I wanted to save from the logging have now come down, and on their way, they took out some smaller trees with them. They would either snap in half near the base, or they'd fall with the entire root ball, which really shows how shallow their roots are compared to how tall the tree is.
What if the world had more of your smile? What if the wind could spread your love? What if your sweetness could reach everyone? There'd be no wars. Maybe the birds will sing about your heart. Maybe the trees will whisper the word.
The pond took a massive hit, which is gonna be really awkward to try to buck up. I think I'm gonna need a boat, and I hope this hasn't affected the clear water ecosystem that seemed to be settling really well. The ATV had a close call, and dang, that reminded me of the time that the Jeep just missed getting crushed as well. And RIP patio set, but the biggest deal was that my hydro line was lying on the ground and down into the gully. Even though I was pretty shaken by all of this and I was running on about 4 hours of sleep, I still had to go to work. So I had to do something I've never anticipated doing, which is stepping over potentially live electrical lines. This fat hemlock, one of the biggest trees here, landed across my driveway. This is the culprit that took out the wire. It's just dumb luck that I happened to park at the top of the driveway. Something in me told me not to park near the tiny home, and that's really taught me to trust my gut.
What if the world had more of your smile?
I went into work and I called in the downed line, not knowing when it would ever get fixed and if we'd be out of power for up to a week. Turns out almost all of the Kootenays were affected by the storm, and over 860 houses were without power. And in a rural area where most of the lots are between 2 to 40 acres, that's a huge geographical area.
Stormy weather.
I'd expected to be so far down the priority list, and I was preparing to have power out for days. So imagine my surprise when I got home from work and the crew was already there with their bucket truck. I'd heard that well, it's like pulling teeth to get them to install your hydro lines. Once you're up and operating, the response time is pretty quick. Thank goodness, because it's a mess here and we need this sorted ASAP. I couldn't help myself and I said, back so soon? Because they just installed all of these lines a few months ago. Having a crew of 4 people and 2 trucks seriously puts into perspective what a task this is. Often people ask me if we're off-grid, and with everything that I want to do here and living in the mountains where we have a lot of gray winters, being off-grid wouldn't really work out. Maybe if we had a creek that ran year-round so we could do micro hydro, but lacking that, solar won't work here and there's nothing else strong enough not to depend on the grid, in my opinion.
No more clouds, no more rain. I need sun to ease my pain.
No, it's not ideal having a hydro bill each month, but it's really sweet when a professional team shows up to fix things when they break. I like not having to do every single thing on my own too. Whenever I hear people talk about living completely off the land and thinking that they won't need to have a source of income, I think to myself, okay, but what happens when something breaks or needs replacing? What happens when crops fail and you still need to eat over the winter? Personally, I think no matter how self-sufficient I get here, I'm still gonna need a modest income because natural disasters will happen, and this windstorm has shown me that firsthand. So I'm so grateful for this crew. Within an hour, they'd pulled the lines back up, reset the anchors, and we're already off to the next job. I'm so relieved that they responded so quickly, but my nervous system is still recovering, and I am very grateful that my kid was at their dad's. They're already scared of wind and falling trees because of the Jeep day, and I think if they were huddled, scared with me by the fire, who was also really freaking scared, they probably would have refused to live here anymore. All the really big, scary things tend to happen when they're at their dad's. Like the time that a bear broke our front door handle off, which is a story for another day. And I thank my lucky stars that they don't have this feeling that I have today, because it would be times 10. While I was checking out how many trees had fallen, I made another discovery. There is so much water coming out of the ground here. Remember when I was so worried if there would be enough water for a well here? Well, now I'm dealing with so much water that it's actually pretty dangerous. The spot that's got me the most worried is where I put a nice little campfire circle. Water's coming up through what would be a fire pit, and it's softened the entire area around it. There's about a 20-foot radius that I don't let my kid or their friends go near, because you can see here, looking for a solid place to step can be really tricky. And sometimes you sink deep into the mud very quickly. Yep, I fell here and my boot was completely submerged in wet, gloopy mud. At first I thought this was just inconvenient, but then I actually noticed that the mud was pulling me in deeper and deeper. And then I thought, no way. Could this actually be what I think it is? So I Googled it. Quicksand is formed when water saturates loose sand, silt, or clay, reducing friction and creating a semi-liquid, unstable mixture that cannot support weight. It's commonly found near riverbanks, marshes, and underground springs. Yes, quicksand exists in British Columbia. Yeah, So that's getting dealt with this summer when the water stops running so much. That is something I never thought I would ever be dealing with. Fallen electrical lines seem like nothing compared to having quicksand. Remember the patio set that got taken out by the trees? If you look at where the legs went into the ground, there is water right there, like inches from the surface. Would have made a good well instead of the one that we dug 350 feet away, but whatever. Jokes aside, this is actually a really big problem, and I want people to be able to explore around here safely. So after doing some research, it seems like the best solution is another pond. The last one was purely for aesthetics, and this one is legitimately for safety. What a trip this homestead is. But 2 ponds? Sure, I'll take it. I've got some really big cleanup on my hands now, and I can't build the new pond until the heat of the summer sets in. So I've decided to do something really fun with all this freshly fallen wood. And in the next video, I'm finally going to show you what that plan is. Living in a freshly logged gully in the foothills of the Kootenay Rockies is a bigger challenge than I'd planned on. And it's going to take years for it to grow into a safe and lush forest again. I'm not giving up on my vision though, so I'm just gonna keep rolling with the punches. Dang, it's nice to have water and power back on, and to be able to sleep in silence again. It's experiences like this that help you appreciate the little things like stable ground and sturdy trees. I'm happy to take on all of this chaos now, so hopefully my kid won't ever have to go through an experience like the one I had last night. And no matter what you do in life, remember to pour love into it.